Alright, what's going on everyone? Today we're going to be upgrading the Pirates theme deck released alongside Lure When Eclipsed, and we'll be doing it on a budget. I like to upgrade these with the MSRP of the deck as my budget, and with these, that is $25 USD. So that's our budget. We will not be exceeding that. In fact, I think we're like halfway of that. So, it's pretty good. So let's talk about this Pirates deck. It's interesting because it has 3 overlapping themes that it's trying to juggle. It has pirates that like it when you discard but have nothing to do with vehicles. We have vehicles that have nothing to do with pirates. And then these 2 strategies are glued together with Fearless Swashbuckler that will allow you to draw and discard when you attack with both a pirate and a vehicle. So the idea is you get a pirate, you get a vehicle, you attack with both, you draw 3, you discard 2, which triggers the discard pirates. This is the whole foundation of the deck, and it completely falls apart if you can't have all of these things going all at once. Now this is a problem for me because I think this deck would be so much better if you just cut one of these themes. Well, any one of them. You could just do draw, discard, you could just do pirates. There's so much you could do. You have to cut something and just make it more consistent, but that goes against my philosophy with these upgrade guides, especially with theme decks, where I like to stick to the deck's themes with my upgrades. It's kind of important to me. If I'm upgrading a theme deck, we have to make the theme just better, not change the theme entirely. That's always been my philosophy with upgrade guides, is that we stick to the deck's, what the deck's trying to do, and we just make it better. But man, this would be better without the vehicles. So what do we do? And after racking my brain and trying to come to a decision and trying to commit and be a big strong man, I've decided that I'm spineless and I'm just gonna do both. We're doing both. Alright, I'm gonna show you how to upgrade this with vehicles, and then I'll show you how to do it without vehicles towards the end quickly. So anyway, before we get started, all the prices in this video are in US dollars, and I will use Card Kingdom as the source of my prices. I am not sponsored. I am not affiliated. If I was, I wouldn't be telling you that they're the most expensive place to buy cards online. But if our deck can fit into that budget on Card Kingdom, then you can buy it anywhere for much cheaper. Anyway, let's get started by taking out 3 subterranean schooners for 3 Gastel thrill rollers. I want to say we're going to be taking out a lot of 4 to 5 drops for 2 to 3 drops later, so we're taking out a 2 drop for a 3 drop, but don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. I promise. Anyway, the thrill roller is the absolute best vehicle for what this deck is trying to do. When it enters, it animates itself with haste. I mean, it just has haste and then it animates itself, meaning we can turn 3 Swashbuckler into turn 4, play this, attack, haste, and get the triggers. It also comes back from the graveyard, so you can attack with it to trigger Swashbuckler, and if it dies in combat, you can recast it from the graveyard. And even better, in order to do that, you have to discard a card, which is what this deck wants to do anyway. Thrill Roller is, and I say this with the utmost sincerity, this is the best vehicle for this draw discard pirate thing. This is the vehicle that you need. You need 4 of them. There's a couple other vehicles that draw and discard and they suck. There's one that's a 3/3 with Menace, and there's a flying one from Final Fantasy. Thrill Roller is it, guys. This is the vehicle you need. You want 4 of them, no doubt. Schooner's cool. It was played a lot when the set first released, when Lost Caverns first released, but it's kind of fell off. Not super popular, and we just need the Thrill Roller. It's critical. And speaking of critical, we need to take out a Captain Howler for a 4th Fearless Swashbuckler. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this pains me a little because I'm a big fan of Captain Howler. This was, I believe, one of the first cards I crafted on Arena for Ether Drift. I was a Captain Howler believer, and to be honest, it's just a little slow and clunky, and the Swashbuckler is just critical for this deck. We need it. It is the glue that holds the deck together. We need the card so bad. It was the correct choice to put on the box. We need this. We need Thrill Roller. Your games with Swashbuckler and Thrill Roller are so different. They are the absolute necessary cards for this archetype. So yeah, just got to do this. Sorry, Captain Howler, and we might as well just rip the band-aid the rest of the way off because I want to take out the other Captain Howler for Malcolm, Alluring Scoundrel. So a major problem I was having when playing this deck, and I've been playing this deck a lot with and all kinds of builds, and a major problem is I would just have a board full of pirates that say, hey, when you discard, do something, and then no way to discard. So I just want to increase the amount of ways we can discard, and Malcolm is perfect. It's flash, it's flying, it's a pirate, and when he deals damage, you draw discard. You draw 1, discard 1. Not only does that work well for our strategy, it helps us filter, which is important for this deck because, it's kind of janky, and because it has flash, we can hold up counter spells spells and burn. There's a lot of counter spells and burn in here, and this allows us to hold those up and then flash end of turn. And also note, he draws and discards, but he also gets a counter every time you do that. And if you get up to 4 counters, he just casts the thing you discard, right? You draw a card, you discard what you're going to cast, and you cast it for free, which is pretty cool. So rip Captain Howler, you deserve better. I'm a fan, but Malcolm's just better. I'm sorry. Here's a positive thing. Hey, Malcolm will be rotating in a year. Captain Howler won't be, so maybe save them. I don't know. I also want to take out one NT for one more Malcolm. I really like NT a lot. NT's pretty good. Very competitive card. Played in some tier 1 decks, but it can be awkward in multiples. Even in tier 1 decks, it's usually like a 2 of, sometimes 3. But yeah, it's also not a pirate, and we're stretched pretty thin. We have so many spells, we have so many vehicles that we're kind of desperate for pirates, and Malcolm's perfectly fine in this spot. A 2 mana 2 power flyer that draws and discards compared to a 2 mana 2/2 that can't put counters on stuff, but can sometimes discard and then not be able to cast the thing that you draw or that you get off top right. Although the upside of NT is sometimes you discard cards from another card and then NT triggers, and it's nice. We're still gonna have 2 NTs. Instead of having 3 NTs, we're gonna have 2 NTs, 2 Malcolm, so it's still in there, just less prevalent. And I will say the downside of Malcolm is he draws and discards after combat, after he deals damage, so you get counters on your discard pirates after combat. Kind of annoying, but still pretty good, still worth having. Finally, we're gonna take out 2 magmatic galleons for 2 lifecraft engines. I will say that I really wanted to replace this with broadside barrage. In fact, I believe at first I did. I had a gameplay video where I quickly upgraded this like on the spot. Broadside barrage instantly goes in, right? You have 5 mana for 5 damage or 3 mana for 5 damage and a draw and discard. Perfect. However, in this vehicle build, we need vehicles, and Lifecraft Engine is pretty good. 3 mana, when it enters, you choose a creature type. It's going to be pirate, and then pirates get +1/+1. And fun part here, it also turns your other vehicles into pirates. So if you play a gassed out throw roller, it will animate with haste as a 5/3 because it'll get +1/+1 from the engine. So that's actually pretty cool. And then we have another vehicle we can attack with the swashbuckler. Not one that we want to die in combat really, but you know, it is what it is. We need vehicles, and this is what we're doing. And that's actually it, guys. The main thing we're missing is the lands. From dual lands to Cavern of Souls, all of these would improve the mana base, but they're all too expensive. There's also Soulstone, Sanctuary, and Agnikella, or however this is pronounced. They're both more obtainable. Sanctuary animates into a 3/3, and Agnikella draws and discards. Be careful with the Sanctuary. Sanctuary alongside Secluded Courtyard means you could have 8 lands in your deck that can't cast non-creatures or vehicles. Remember Soulstone Sanctuary, when you name pirates, it can't cast a throw roller. So if you have 4 of those and 4 Soulstone Sanctuary, you do run the risk of just not having colors of mana for non-pirates, so that can be a bit of a trap. I wouldn't want to add Soulstone Sanctuary until I've added more dual lands. Agnikella, great, draw, discard. Who doesn't want that? It's actually not an expensive land either. It's only like $2 or $3, so could definitely replace 1 island with this, and I'd be totally fine with that. I also much prefer the Scry lands over the Gain lands that this deck comes with. Scrying is way more valuable than 1 life, and the Scry lands are super cheap. They're basically obsolete because they've been replaced with the Surveil lands, which have the land types attached to them, so they can be fetched in older formats. But if you're a budget player, you can get Scry lands for really cheap now, and they're definitely better than the Gain lands if you want to spend a couple dollars on minor improvement. Alright, let's talk about the non-vehicle build of the deck. I'm calling it the evasion build. I have these on Arena. I have so many builds of these that I have in parentheses the build. What you just saw was the vehicle build. This is what I'm calling the evasion build. We're playing Kaido, Cunning Infiltrator, and Breach's Eager Pillager. So Kaido's +1 makes a creature unblockable, then it draws and discards. It also gets a loyalty every time a creature deals damage to the opponent, which can add up, especially with all the evasion this deck has. And then Breaches, whenever you attack with a pirate, you get to choose 1, and if you attack with 3 pirates, then you get to choose 3. You can only choose each one once, but for each pirate, you get to choose 1 of these, and you can get 3 total. And it can make a creature unblockable. So Breaches and Kaido can make 2 creatures unblockable, and the reason we want to do this is because we can combine these with Marauding Mako and Captain Howler, both of which are big, but blockable. Marauding Mako could be a 10/10 and just be blocked by a token, but not if we have Kaido and Breaches. So the idea is to buff unblockable creatures and trigger the card draw consistently. Card draw, by the way, on Captain Howler, didn't talk about that, but if you hit with the creature that you pump, you draw a card. You can do that on flyers, naturally, but with this deck, you can also make something unblockable and then so on and so forth. So if you're interested in this, here's what we take take out 3 subterranean schooners, 2 magmatic galleons, 1 gassed out throw ruler, and 3 fearless swashbucklers, and we add 2 Kaido, 2 breaches, 3 Malcolms, and 2 broadside barrages. We basically just gut the deck of vehicles and the vehicle payoff, and we focus more on draw and discard combined with evasion for quicker, more aggro focused games. I actually like this deck a lot. Kind of all in on the aggro plan, but we do have the extra removal as well. But yeah, both of these though only have 2 staunch crewmates. When I first saw the deck list, I was like, what are we doing here? You just auto include 4 staunch crewmates clearly, right? It's just 2 mana, get another card anyway. There's no reason not to have 4 staunch crewmates. It's just that, like, that's your starting point for a pirate deck. You put 4 of these in to start with, and then as I was upgrading them, I just could never find room. I was always like, what do I take out for these? And I'd look at the deck list, I'm like, but I don't want to take anything out. So I will say the vehicle deck, because it's so janky, could really use a couple more of these. Maybe you could cut 1 land, probably a mountain, and 1 skyray for 2 staunch crewmates. That's probably correct. You know, like I would say, yeah, that build is really low to the ground. The curve tops out at 3. The most expensive card in the deck costs 3. So I think you could go to 23 lands, be fine. It also draws and discards so much that you can usually find lands or not, whatever you need. So I could see that being a thing. I don't think I'd want to cut lands in the quote unquote aggro build, just because we do have the 4 mana Captain Howler in that deck. But yeah, we could use more of these. They're good cards. I don't know what to take out, but that's something to consider. I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me what you would remove in the comments below. Look at me fishing for comments. Go me, I guess. Anyway, that is it for the Pirates theme deck. Sorry I had so many commitment issues with this thing. It was very difficult deciding on which direction to go, just because I felt like the deck was so inconsistent to start with, and it was trying to do so many things at once that I was like, oh my god, I can take this deck in like 4 different directions. I could abandon the pirate theme. There's not a lot of tribal pirate payoffs. I know it says pirates. There's no tribal pirate payoffs really. So it's like, we could just not do pirates. It doesn't change anything. We could just do the draw and discard stuff. You know, we could take vehicles out. There's so many things we could do. Because it was inconsistent, and it felt like it needed to find a direction. And the problem is, every direction that you could go in felt fine. It was like, I don't know. So this is what we ended up with. This is the vehicle build anyway. And both builds, regardless of which way you go, it's certainly more powerful than what came in the box. The precon is very inconsistent and just feels like it's lacking direction. So pick a direction. That's my advice. Pick a direction, and either way you go, it'll be more consistent and more powerful compared to this weird thing in the box. Yeah, so either way, guys, if this video was useful, please leave a like. It is much appreciated. Thanks for watching regardless, and I will see you in the next one.